What's up everyone, it's Bones here. In today's video, I'll be featuring another TCG OCG video showing off the Synchron deck with the new Synchron support that we've gotten over the last couple of months, which changes the outlook for this deck and its future with some of the cool things that you can do, but it also potentially opens up the gate to other stuff that I'll end up showing in future videos with a card like Assault Synchron. But anyways, before I begin, if you happen to enjoy content like this, clicking on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons would be greatly appreciated, as it goes a long way in supporting the channel and shows me that you like content like this. So to give a quick rundown, Assault Synchron is a level 2 tuner dark monster machine, 700 attack, 0 defense, and during your main phase you can special summon this card from your hand, then take 700 damage. Also, you can't special summon monsters from the extra deck except synchro monsters while this face-up card is in the monster zone. It also has a second effect, which if a face-up dragon synchro monsters is tributed or banished, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one of those monsters, special summon it. You have to be the controller of those dragon synchro monsters though, and you can only use each of the Assault Synchron effects once per turn. Then for the second card here, we have his Ready Set Duel, and this is basically a Rhoda. When it's activated, if you control no other cards, you can add one Synchron monster from your deck to your hand. Then, during the standby phase, this is kind of the slow effect, but you place one signal counter on this card, and then you can remove 2 signal counters from your field and send this face-up card to the graveyard, draw 2 cards, then send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. So, with another copy of tuning, basically, along with Assault Synchron, the consistency buffs that the deck has gotten is really cool, but the first thing that I want to show that you can do, and I believe that this is a big buff in itself with Ready Set Duel, is that we can use the Junk Converter, pitching the Stardust Synchron, putting the Stardust Synchron in graveyard, and this gets us our Junk Synchron. Now, if Junk Converter were Ash Blossomed or something, you still have the Stardust Synchron and the Junk Converter in the graveyard, but then you also have Ready Set Duel to add your Junk Synchron anyways, while still having 2 cards in hand to play with. From here we'll activate the Ready Set Duel, and you'll see that this is where Synchrons are going to change a little bit with the addition of this card, as we have Synchron Carrier here, a card that we don't see much in Synchron decks at the moment, but it gives you an extra normal summon. It's a level 2 to pair with your Assault Synchron, which will come up as you'll see momentarily. So we'll start by normal summoning the Carrier, and then we'll use our extra normal summon on the Junk Synchron, then use the Junk Synchron, bringing back the Converter, and we're going to stop everything we're doing right here, and then special summon the Assault Synchron. You want to do this before your 5th summon so that you don't lose to Nibiru, and as you see, Carrier is an effect monster, not a tuner, so this will give us access to Herald of the Arclight here, which will give us an Omni negation with access to Junk Speeder already on board, as we're going to synchro summon the Junk Speeder and then use its effect as Chainlink 1, the Converter as Chainlink 2, bringing back our Junk Synchron, and then from here we'll get the special summon of 3 Synchron Tuner. We'll use the Stardust Synchron effect here, which will add us the Stardust Illumination, which will come up later in the turn, and from here we'll go into our Crystal Wing Dragon, giving us another monster negation here, as we'll then tribute off the Jet Synchron, special summoning back the Stardust Synchron from the graveyard, and then we'll use the Doppel Warrior from hand, and we won't be able to use the tokens in actually any of these combos, as this particular hand has a lot of ways you can play it, but it also fills up your board. And we'll synchro away into a 6 years, we get a Charge Warrior for a draw, and then from here we're going to synchro away the Assault Synchron and the Stardust Warrior for another new card here, Axel Synchron Stardust Dragon, and it's a generic level 8 synchro, which takes 1 tuner plus 1 non-tuner monsters, and if this card is synchro summoned, you can special summon 1 level 2 or lower tuner monster from your graveyard. During the main phase quick effect, you can tribute this card, special summon 1 Stardust Dragon from your extra deck. This is treated as a synchro summon. Then immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon 1 synchro monsters using monsters you control as material. The turn the monsters synchro summoned by this effect are unaffected by your opponent's activated effect. So a lot to unpack there, but as you can see, it is a very powerful card, which enables you to synchro summon on your opponent's turn, can bring out a Stardust Dragon to protect your board. But even if you don't want to play the Stardust Dragon, it still brings you out a level 2 or lower tuner monster from your graveyard, making it an extender. It can also give you a level 9 or level 10 synchro with just itself and the body it brings out. So from here we're going to use the effect to bring out the tuner, as we'll bring back Jet Synchron, and then we're going to use the Stardust Illumination here, and this will special summon our Stardust Trail. And from here we're going to synchro away into the Scarlight here, as we're going to end our turn here, and when your opponent does something that you want to negate, I'm just going to proxy this. Don't take what you see as what you would want to do in this particular matchup, but I just want to show what can be done if you wanted to stop something. And we're going to bring out the Hot Red Dragon, just giving us another negation, clearing up zones for the Bestial, and we also have Stardust to protect our board with the Omni negation of Herald and the monster negation we already had with Crystal Wing. So I wouldn't be lying if I said that the first combo is the most basic one, but you'll see that these are going to begin the same way, as they are the same hand. But I do just want to show how much they can vary, as we're going to use the Junk Converter, and we're going to add the Junk Synchron, use the Ready Set Duel. As you'll see, we're placing it on the zone of an extra monster zone, and that's on purpose, as we're going to normal summon the Junk Carrier, then we're going to use its extra normal summon, giving us the Junk Synchron, then use the Junk Synchron to bring back the Converter. Then, much like our last combo, we can special summon the Assault Synchron for access to Herald of the Arclight and Junk Speeder, having protection now with the Herald, and we even get to chain block it with the Converter, which is nice if you aren't able to go for Herald, but we'll special summon back the Junk Synchron like our last combo, and then we'll special summon 3 Stardusters, 3 Synchron tuners from deck, and we'll get the same ones as we get Stardust Synchron, Assault Synchron, and Jet Synchron. We'll use the Stardust Synchron, adding us an Illumination, and then from here we can Synchro 8 into Crystal Wing again, as from here we're going to use the Stardust Synchron again, much like our last one. We're then going to special summon the Doppel. We won't be able to get its tokens again, as we're going to Synchro 6 into a Stardust Charge Warrior again, get the draw, and then from here we can go into the Stardust Excel Dragon, and then we're going to use its effect to bring out a tuner here, as we're going to use the Stardust Illumination, and then from there we're going to get the Stardust Trail. Then we can Synchro 8 into Draco Berserker of the Tenyu, which is an option I wanted to point out that you can play. You're going to go into level 8 quite a bit, as you can see, and if you want a form of disruption that isn't necessarily a negation, this is one way that you can definitely go about it. I would also like to point out that because we have Upstart Goblin instead of a monster, because if we had a monster we wouldn't be able to do this, because Herald of the Arclight is on board, but we could actually bring out the Jet Synchron, then use the Stardust Dragon, or the Excel Stardust Dragon, bring out Stardust, and then we can go into an 11 that would take 2 tuners. It's a level 8, but unfortunately there's just nothing worth going into right now. It's something that I definitely wanted to point out in this video, as we'll end our turn here, and take what you see here with a grain of salt as we activate the Upstart Goblin, chain the Axel Stardust Dragon to that, bring out the Stardust Dragon, and then we can Synchro into a 10 for an extra disruption. You could Synchro away the Draco Berserker of the Tenyu if you had already used its effect and wanted to keep your Stardust Dragon for protection. The main point of this is how you can get 3 negations, 2 of them being Omni negations, Herald having the Floodgate-like effect, and Draco Berserker of the Tenyu being a tough disruption to play around for certain decks. As we tributed the Axel Stardust Synchron, another thing that you'll be able to do is get your Axel Stardust Synchron back via the Assault Synchron, and you can even get the trail back with its effect, which will give you 2 more bodies, taking us to our third combo and the final combo. So now that we've seen the 2 uses that Assault Synchron can provide via giving you a body, after a face-up dragon synchro monsters you control is tributed or banished, along with the ability to special summon itself for the small price of 700 life points. There's one more usage this card has that I want to show in this video, because it's something that the deck didn't have access to before without these cards, making this deck just much more powerful in my opinion. And from here, we're going to start our plays the same way we did our two previous combos. It's the standard line of play that you want to take, as you want to have your guaranteed access to Junk Synchron, get the Synchron carrier off of the ready set, and then we can normal summon the carrier, use the extra normal summon on the Junk Synchron. From there we can use the Junk Synchron, bringing back our converter, then we can special summon the Assault Synchron, giving us our Herald, and we'll also get the feeder, which will allow us to get a bunch more bodies on board, as we'll also get the converter chain link too, bringing back the Assault Synchron this time, which is the major difference compared to the previous combos I've shown. Now going to special summon another copy of Assault Synchron. We'll get the Junk Synchron, and we'll also get a Jet Synchron here instead of a Stardust Synchron. As we go into our first level 8, which will be the Stardust XL this time around, we'll then use the Stardust Synchron here, get an addition on the Stardust Synchron for the Illumination, and then from here we can use the Illuminations effect, which will allow us to bring out Trail. Then we can go into a Synchro 8, in which this time we'll be making Scarlight. And if you already know what a level 8 Synchro Dragon with 2 level 2 tuners can do, then you may have an idea of where this is going, as we're going to pass turn here, and just like the previous ones, take what you see with a grain of salt. But what I do want to show is that you can tribute off the Stardust here, and we don't have a Assault Synchron in Graveyard, which is important to note, but that doesn't really matter, as we're going to synchro away the Scarlight and the 2 Assault Synchrons to go into our Hot Red King Calamity and put our opponent under that, as we're also going to be able to get the Trail as Chainlink 2 in order to provide us an extra body for our next turn. But for the main deck here, I'd like to believe the ratios for the Synchrons here is what will probably end up being played the most. Ready set plus Synchron Carrier definitely changed the outlook of what this deck can do. It's giving us a level 2 effect monster that's a Synchron that provides us extra bodies on board, shown in those combos. We do have options here that aren't finalized. They're definitely things that can be tweaked upon with the Starlight Junction and the Upstart Goblin. I just wanted to put them here as options. I didn't know what else I wanted to put in the deck at the time of building this. And then lastly, of course, we have the Bestial Monsters. The Bestial Monsters will be in and out of formats, and it depends on how the TCG evolves over time, but I just don't expect us to be in a Dark Light meta forever. And with the OCG recently hitting Magna Hut, it could happen here in the TCG. So there's really no telling what will happen to this part of the deck here. Then finally, the last thing I would like to mention is that I am playing the 3 ready sets just because I want to see it as much as possible, making it the very first thing we do. Coupled with tuning, it's almost like having 7 reinforcement of the armies with a Foolish Burial and an Upstart Goblin. Finally, before I begin the card by card, we did get another one called Final Cross, which during your turn, if a Synchro Monster was sent to the graveyard this turn, target one Synchro Monster you control, it gains the ability this turn to make a second attack during each battle phase. Then if you activated this card by targeting a Synchro Monster with Warrior Synchron and or Stardust in its original name, you can make a gain attack equal to the attack of a Synchro Monster in your graveyard. So I don't believe this is the greatest of support cards simply because, as you saw, Synchrons can put damage output on their own quite easily, go for game, so I don't think that they needed anything like this. It also doesn't progress what they can do with their combos. That is important to note. But onto the card by card here, we have the 3 Stardust Synchron, the 3 Assault Synchron, the 3 Junk Synchron, the 1 Jet Synchron, the 3 Synchron Carrier, the 3 Junk Converter, the 3 Doppel Warrior, the 1 Stardust Trail, the 3 Bestial Magna Huts, the 3 Druis Worm, the 3 Saronir, the 1 Reinforcement of the Army, the 3 Tunings, the 3 Ready Sets, the 1 Stardust Illumination. This can be something else but Starlight Junction, the Foolish Burial, which can maybe be something else as well, and same thing with the Upstart Goblin. And onto the extra deck, we have the Hot Red King Calamity, which I want to point out that Red Supernova Dragon is also a cute option, though it does take 3 tuners instead of 2, which is what I like about the Hot Red Dragon. We have the Satellite Warrior, the Baron, and the Chengying as your level 10s, the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, the Draco Berserker, Scarlight for your Hot Red plays, Crystal Wing, the Excel. Stardust Dragon is optional if you want to play this. It does give you access into this play though. Then we have the Stardust Charge Warrior, the Junk Speeder, the Axel Synchron, the Hyper Librarian can maybe be something else as well. And to round out the extra deck, we have the Herald of the Arclight. Other things I'd like to talk about are Synchro Overtake, which is something you could definitely play as well, as it's just an added consistency boost. I also am not playing the Majestic set just because with the Assault Synchron and the Ready Set Duel, make the deck feel more complete. The sense that you don't have to cater around specific plays because cards will just kind of take you there, if that makes sense. And then finally, the other weird one that's missing here is Destrudo. It's just because I believe Assault Synchron replaces it. You don't have to pay half your life points either, and Destrudo also opens the door to level 7 Synchro plays. Can ultimately add in slots for the extra deck and main deck, so I just didn't think it was necessary, though it still obviously is an option. Anyways, that's all for today's video, and if you made it this far, I'd like to thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them down below. It's Bones, signing out.